Hello and thanks for stopping by the IU Writing Center's YouTube channel. The topic of this video is APA. We'll cover some general APA formatting requirements, running heads, in-text citations, references, and a couple of other ideas as well. So you may be wondering, what is APA? APA is created by the American Psychological Association and is usually used for social sciences like psychology or sociology, but it can also be used for nursing and business courses as well. Sometimes it really just depends on your professor's preference, and it focuses on the year of publication rather than the author's last name, as with MLA. Now let's go over some general formatting. Your paper should have 1-inch margins, it should be double-spaced, the font should be Times New Roman size 12. You might want to pause the video here to take a look at these images because they're going to show you how to set up the formatting that we just discussed. Now let's talk about cover pages. This is going to include a running head, which we'll talk about later in this video. You should insert page numbers on the upper right-hand corner of the document, and centered on the page you should include the title of your paper, your name, the name of your university, in this case Immaculata. If your assignment calls for an author's note, that's going to come after the university, but most undergraduate writing assignments don't actually require author's notes. Now that we've gone over the elements of a title page, let's talk about running heads. If this is your first time writing an APA paper, setting up the running head can be a little bit tricky. First, double-click near the top of the page to open the header and the footer. Then, check the box that says Different First Page. On the first page, you're going to put the words running head followed by a colon and your title in all caps. Make sure that the H is lowercase. On all other pages, just put the title of your paper in all caps without the words running head. Make sure to insert page numbers in the upper right-hand corner. If the title of your paper is too long for the running head, you can just use an abbreviated version. Most of the time, if the title of the paper includes a colon, students will just drop whatever words come after the colon. You'll also want to make sure that the text is right aligned. This diagram shows you what the header should look like on all pages after the title page. Notice that the words running head do not appear. Some professors will require you to write an abstract. This should give the reader insight into what you're going to discuss in your paper, and it should appear on its own separate page after the title. Abstracts should be about 100 to 250 words. After the abstract, if you choose to include one, you'll repeat the paper's title on the first page of your paper. It's not bold, it's not underlined, but it is centered, and the first line of the paper should follow immediately after the title unless you're using headings, which we're going to discuss on the next slide. This slide gives you a breakdown of APA headings which help you to organize your paper. It might be a good idea to pause the video again here to review the different formatting for each heading level. So this is what APA headings should look like in your paper. Again, you might want to pause and just kind of go over it so that you're familiar. Now let's talk about in-text citations. These allow your reader to understand where the information that you're using in your paper comes from. You can either include the author's name in the sentence itself, or you can include the author's name at the end of the sentence in a citation. But you're going to want to make sure that you only do one or the other. You don't want to use the author's name in the sentence and then also in the citation at the end. Now let's talk about quotes. Whenever you quote a work word for word, you need to use quotation marks so that the reader can tell your words apart from someone else's. And when you quote someone, the period goes after the last parenthesis of your in-text citation. It doesn't go after the quotation mark. For quotes that are more than 40 words, you'll need to set up a block quote. Block quotes should be preceded by a colon, and each line of the quote should be indented. You don't need to use quotation marks for block quotes, and the in-text citation still goes at the end. After you've finished your paper, you need to cite your sources. On a fresh page, type the word references. Again, this should not be bold or underlined, but it should be centered. Make sure that your references are double-spaced, organized alphabetically by author's last name, and have a hanging indent. You can pause the video here to review the example on the right-hand side, and remember that every source you use in your paper should always appear on the reference page at the end. So here are just some useful tricks. If you click on the AZ icon on Word, it'll alphabetize your sources for you, but you might still want to go back and double check before you submit the paper to your professor. And if you highlight all of your references and you right-click, a window will pop up and you can click on the drop-down that says Paragraph, and if you select Hanging, it'll create a hanging indent for all of your references. These are just some of the most common references used in APA papers. You might want to save this slide and refer back to it while you're working on a paper. And that concludes this tutorial. If you have any other questions, you can always visit us in the Writing Center. We're located on the first floor of the Gabrielle Library, and our hours are posted on our website. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.